How y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. I've been asked to make a video on how I get my voice command stuff in Iracing to work, because a couple people have seen it in my race videos and were interested in how to make it work. So I decided to make a video on how to set up a program called Voice Macro, which will allow you to use spoken words to control different functions in Iracing. So one of the first things you'll want to do when you go to do this is you need to first make sure that you set your PC up to be able to handle voice recognition. So first thing you'll want to do is go ahead and on your keyboard find the Windows logo key. It'll have the little 4 squares on it. Press and hold that down and hit the letter R as in Robert, and that'll pull up a window called your run command window. And in there you want to type the word control. Now this is for Windows 10. Windows 11 might be slightly different, but when you do that, it'll pull up your control panel. And then there will be an option down here that says speech recognition. Go ahead and click on that. And then once you get into this screen, there'll be an option that says set up your microphone. And what you do is you click on that, and it'll take you through this, and then just follow the steps in order to get your microphone properly configured so that it'll work with a speech recognition. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this is going to be dependent on the noise level of your environment. If you're in a very noisy area or something like that, it may not work very well. But basically, you want to make sure you get your volume set properly and everything like that. And the wizard in the speech recognition thing here will help you get that set up. And then I don't remember if it'll automatically take you directly to it after you get the microphone set up. But after you get your microphone set up, down here there's an option that says train your computer to better understand you. And what you'll do is you'll go ahead and click on that, and it'll start that little wizard. And there'll be little pop-ups that come up on the screen of a series of text phrases that you'll have to read to the computer. And the computer knows exactly what they're supposed to be, and it listens for those words to come out of your mouth. And it teaches you exactly how you pronunciate words and how you say different things, and gives the computer the ability to understand you. But I recommend doing this because it makes it work much, much better. Because that's one of the biggest problems with voice command, is the computer doesn't always understand what you're saying. And when you speak to the computer, make sure you're speaking as clearly as possible. You don't want to slur your words or anything like that. You want to be as precise with your speaking as you can. The more precise you are, the better chance the computer is going to be able to understand you. Once you got that all set up, you can go ahead and close control panel, just like so. And then what I recommend doing is making yourself, before you even get started, what I call a cheat sheet. And this basically is my Iracing voice command list of all the voice commands that I will be using in Iracing, along with the auto text chat string that goes with that voice command and the particular keyboard binding that goes with it. Now I still got to go through there and put the key bindings in for this cheat thing here, and we'll do that here in a moment. But I recommend trying to do this as soon as you can before you get started with downloading the program, getting it installed, setting up your microphone, anything like that. Is get your command list figured out. And I just put mine into Notepad because it's simple and easy to do. And I would actually recommend, once you get this created, to print a copy of it out and put it near your computer monitor somewhere so that it's easy to see. Because when you first put this together and start doing it, you may not necessarily always remember the spoken commands that you're going to have programmed in. This will give you a cheat sheet of what command it does what. As you can see, I've got my pit commands here, and then also I've got all my black box, or my other commands, like my miscellaneous commands, like the call for a damage report, the call for a black box, toggling all the different black boxes, along with all the key binds that are going to be associated with that. And we'll get into here in a moment. But yeah, like I said, remember to print this off, at least the spoken command part, so that you've got a reference sheet until you get your commands memorized and that kind of thing. So for the moment, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this so it's out of the way. The next step we got to do is we got to actually get the voice macro program. So what we're going to have to do is go to Google, and I just do Google search for voice macro. Click on the first link, which is voicemacro.net. And when you click on that, that'll take you to their page where you can download it. Then what you're going to do is come up here to the download button, click on that. And the easiest way to do this, you can actually download the self-installer, or you can download it as a zip file, which just has an executable. Now, if you're a complete geek like me and don't want to sit and want to actually go through and configure this all manually and get everything all set up exactly how you want it, just download the zip file, extract the zip out of it, grab the file, put it in your desktop or wherever you're going to start the program from, or just use the setup MSI deal here, and where you'll download the program will come with its own integrated setup file where you just click on it and it'll install the program just like any other program. It makes it real easy and simple. And then once you get that done, once you get it installed, and I don't remember if the auto installer creates one on your desktop or not, but in case it does not, but I think it usually does. One thing you're going to need to do with voice macro is it will need to run as an administrator with administrative privileges in order for it to work correctly. So what you will need to do is make sure there's a shortcut to it on your desktop. Right click the icon for the shortcut, and come down to properties down here, and then you're going to come over here to the advanced button, click advanced, and there be an option to say run as administrator. Make sure that is checked. Now, since my computer username is actually a renamed administrator account, I'm already logged into the computer as an administrator when I start the computer up. So this option is grayed out for me because I'm already running everything with administrative privileges. But just make sure run as administrator is checked, click OK, and then that part is ready to go. The next thing you'll want to do is you want to set voice macro up to automatically start when the computer boots up and you log into Windows. And there's a real easy way to do that. You're going to find your Windows key again, press and hold it down while hitting the letter R at the same time to pull up your run command box. And we can get rid of the control panel thing because we don't need that. But this time we're going to type in shell . Then you're going to put a colon and then the word startup. Just like that. And then you're going to click OK, and that's going to pull up. This is a folder that when you start your computer, any programs or shortcuts that are in this folder will automatically start when you start your computer. Now, as you can see in here, I've got my Iracing UI automatically set to auto start when the computer boots into Windows. I've got my overlay program set to auto start plus voice macro. And any programs you throw in there will automatically start up when you start the computer. Okay, and then once you get that done, get that open, pull this out of the way so you can easily get to it, and then find your voice macro file on your desktop. That shortcut that we enabled administrator on, and drag that guy into the startup folder. And that's up here. As soon as you get that done, you can simply just close out of close that window out. And now when you start the computer up and the computer boots into Windows, it will automatically log or automatically start up those files, including voice macro or anything else that you put in there. Okay, now we come to the fun part where we actually go through and set up voice macro to do our voice command stuff. So we'll go ahead and open voice command and just double click the icon to start it if it's not already running. If it is, when you click on your taskbar down here, it'll have an icon for voice macro with a little ear, And that little ear that's flashing basically means voice macro is picking up voice information. And if you click on that, it'll pull up the program. And I'm going to expand it out so everybody can see everything. And as you can see, every time I say something, it's recording that information that's coming in through the microphone, all the words I'm saying. And some of the stuff it doesn't always pick up, but if you got a specific list of commands that you use all the time, voice macro will recognize those. It trains itself to understand that particular word. So first thing we need to do is, once we get this open, we're going to have to go up here to our edit or add macro. What you'll do is you click add macro, and it'll give you a wizard where you create your macro. And you'll get where you can create your profile. And for iRacing, I choose the one that says iRacing default. Basically, you'll just click add new. And this is where you put your profile name, which would be, in this case would be iRacing. And then you select the target window. And if you have iRacing already running, I'm just going to iRacing here real quick as we do this. And select the car that you're going to use. I use the NASCAR cars. So, and you'll want to do the, and when we get a little bit later into where we're setting up the actual commands for iRacing, you'll want to be in the car that you're actually going to be racing. For example, we're just going to use the Craftsman truck, since it's around here somewhere. There it is. We'll just click on that. And you're going to go into a test session. So just click test drive. Hit the test drive button to launch the sim. Wait for it to load up. And we'll give this a minute to load up. And while I'm waiting for that to load up, I'll put you guys on a brief pause, and I'll be right back once we're loaded into the sim. Okay, now that we're loaded back into the sim, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our taskbar. And to get to it while it's in the sim, just hit the Windows key on your keyboard, and that'll pull up your taskbar so you can see it. Click on the voice macro icon down in your taskbar, and that'll pull your voice macro program up. Now you're going to select the profile that you set up as iRacing, and then you're going to go ahead and down here where it says active window, if you click on that, it should pull up all of the programs that are currently running on your computer. In this case, we have iRacing. You click on that, click OK, and then make sure that the default is checked next to iRacing, like mine is here. Now if you click this where it says global, what that'll do is anytime that you send or say a command that voice macro is programmed to respond with, like for example my black boxes, the F1 key for example is what I use to show my lap timing. If you have another program open and that the global is checked, like you have Notepad open or something like that, and that program, that window has focus, like Notepad is currently the active window, what will happen is if you say like show lap timing, it will basically hit the F1 key in that program. It sends that command or keystroke to whatever the active program is that currently has focus at the moment. Okay, then once you get that part all set up, and I'm just going to close this out here because mine's already set up and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and click cancel, but in your case you'd sit there and click OK. And then you'll come here to your macros. And if you click on add new, it'll ask you to create a new macro. Now I'm going to put this over here. Now it'll say activate with, and this is how you trigger the macro. Voice command is the fun one. This is put a check mark on this and then type in whatever command you want to use to activate that particular command. And that's basically how you get here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my list here, so I'm going to click cancel. No. Alright, so I'm going to go here to my triggers, and I'm going to, so you can see, I'm going to click edit, And this pulls up that basically a similar screen to what you use to create. So you would basically create your voice command, activate it, make sure it's checked. If it's not checked, it won't work. And then put in whatever command you want to use for that specific function. In this case, it's going to be show lap timing. And type the command out exactly how you would say it. In this case, show lap timing. And then what you'll do down here is under actions, you'll have different actions that can occur when that the voice macro program will do when it hears that particular word or phrase. For keyboard, if you click keyboard, it'll ask you to press a key. And what you do then is just press whatever key that you're going to use. In my case, show lap timing in Iracing is F1. We'll show the lap timing black box. In this case, you just press the F1 key on the keyboard and it'll register, it'll show up. So I'm going to cancel this. And these are all of the triggers, or all the commands I currently have in here for Iracing. I've got my show lap timing, my show standings, my show relative, my show fuel, my show tires, show tire info, show pit adjustments, show in-car adjustments, show graphics, show my damage report command, my pit for fuel command, pit for full command rather, my pit for half command, my pit right full, pit right half, pit left full, pit left half, pit fuel full, pit fuel half, and pit clear. And all of the keys that go along with those particular commands have been programmed into my voice macro program. And then when it gets done, there'll be an option to save the macro as well as save everything else. Click it, get everything saved, and then you'll need to go in to the next step. And this is going to be primarily for your pit commands. And we're going to minimize that out of the way. Now keep in mind, in order for this to work, voice macro has to be running and or minimized in the background in order for it to work. Otherwise it's not going to do anything for you. So what we're going to do is go into the garage, and in that list I made here, I'll just kind of drop him down out of the way here a little bit. You're going to go into your options screen. Now where you set your pit commands up is in your options under, I think it's option. You know, where you got your auto text chat, where you can set all of your, like the quit your jibber jabber thing, pit left, pass right, whatever, voice things that you want to do, and bind them to a key button. Here's where you will put in your pit commands. And if we pull up our pit command list here, these are all of the pit commands that can be done in the chat text string. You've got your pit clear, which this clears all of the pit service that's currently selected on your pit service thing. When you pull up your tires, your fuel, and all that stuff, all those checks, doing the pit clear command will clear all of that and basically cancel out all of the pit service that has been scheduled. And I'll just demonstrate that here shortly. The next command is pit for full, which will basically set you up for a 4-tire and full tank of fuel stop. Pit right full, same thing, but this does the right tires instead of all 4. Pit left is the left side tires plus full tank of fuel. Pit left just does the tires, the left side tires only. Pit right does the right side tires only. Pit for half does 4 tires and a half a tank of fuel. Pit left half does left tires and a half a tank of fuel. Pit fuel full does just a full tank of fuel, no tires. Pit fuel half does a half a tank of fuel and no. And I'm actually, since I've got Iracing open and it's actually one of the active windows in the background, Notice that 8 that just popped up there is because I said one of the commands that's keyed to the, or that's triggered to key number 8, and it actually typed the 8 in my notepad here. So be aware of that when you're running this, because it can be rather picky. So basically get all your text chat strings, you just basically copy all of these, basically put all these chat strings exactly as they're typed. Now the pound sign tells the chat window that this is an Iracing command. And then of course you got the command, and then for fuel, you'll always specify the word fuel plus the number of gallons with a G behind it. That tells it that you want that many gallons of fuel. And then at the end of each string, you're going to put a $sign. This $sign tells Iracing that that's the end of the command and to hit the enter key. Without that, it won't work. And then of course we had all of our black boxes and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this real quick. But before I do that, once you get all of these things basically entered in here and set up, your next step is to go through and assign the key to them. And the easiest way to do this is simply click on the command, and with your voice macro running, click on it and it'll start flashing saying that it's ready to be assigned a key or whatever. Then you'll go ahead and you will basically say whatever phrase you want to do for that particular function. Like in this case, pit clear would be what you would say for clearing the pit. And if everything's working correctly, it'll automatically, voice macro will automatically set whatever key you have bounded to that command to that spot, and it'll save it in Iracing. Then once you're done, just click done. Then always go out and test your macros to make sure they're working. So go into get into the truck, and here's how I do this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my black boxes. Show lap timing. Show lap timing. Show relative. Show relative. Show standings. Show standings. Show fuel. Show fuel. Show tires. Show tires. Show tire info. Show tire info. Show pit adjustments. Show pit adjustments. Show in-car adjustments. Show in-car adjustments. Show graphics. Show graphics. Okay, that's basically how you toggle through all of those. Test them, make sure they all work. And I might have forgot to mention, or might have forgot to say one, so if I missed any of them, it's what I did is I just, because I can't remember what all the black boxes are, I just remember the ones I use the most often, which is going to be lap timing. Show lap timing. My relative. Show relative. Show relative. Show fuel, which is my fuel. Show tires. Show tires. Show tire info. Show lap timing. Now, if you say the command twice right back to back, it will be the same thing as toggling it off. Like for example, show lap timing. Show lap timing. See how it disappeared because I told it to turn that box off. Show lap timing. That's the one I usually have on most of the time when I'm building setups or testing or something like that. But in the race, I'll usually have the in the race, I'll usually have the relative open. Show relative. Show relative. Now this is what I mean by sometimes it doesn't always understand you. You may have to repeat yourself. Make sure you're speaking clearly and loudly enough so the computer can hear you. Otherwise, it's not going to do the command. Now you're going to go through and test your pit commands. While you're sitting on pit road here, call out your pit commands. Pit 4, full. And see how I put the chat string up there? Now the guys are all going to work.
man, go. Hard, hard, hard. Good job, guys.
Shut the motor off. We don't need motor running. Show lap timing. Pit right full. There they go. I love making people work I love it when people work right when
Go, man, go. Go, man, go. Go, 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 go,
right
go,
at
go,
the
go.
sound of my voice.
Good job, fellas. Good job.
Yeah, we'll shut the thing off again. Pit left full. And there they all go.
Go, man, go, go, go. Hard, hard, hard.
And shut the motor off. Let's see what's the other one. Pit fuel full. There, he's going to come over and put full
Go, man, go, go, man,
gas
go.
in.
To your lights.
Pit fuel half. Now he's only going to put a half a tank of gas in.
Go, man, go, 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 go. 0 speed.
And that's basically kind of how it all works. Go through and test them all. Now what you want to do to make sure everything's working, start your truck up and pull away from your pit stall so that you're not right there, so that they don't just automatically start going to work. Pull out a little bit like onto the end of the pit road, stop, shut your car off, and then pull up the black boxes for your pits. And here's what you're going to do is pull up show tires. Show tires. Okay, now that you got your tire box open and it's got all your little check boxes and stuff there for replace, do a call for a 4-tire stop. Pit 4 full. Notice how it puts the check box in there and puts the chat string up there. Now let's say we're out there in the middle of the race and the caution comes out, or I get a black flag and I gotta come in and serve a penalty. Right now it's set to automatically change 4 tires and give me a full tank of fuel as soon as I hit my pit box. But if I gotta come in and do a penalty, I don't want them to do all that. So I get the black flag. I'm coming down pit road. I'm just about to pit road. I get on pit road, coming down, making sure I'm not speeding, and I'm gonna say pit clear. As soon as I do that, it clears all of those boxes out so that when I get to my pit road, I just do my penalty and then leave. Nothing else happens. That's very, very handy to have that available. Now keep in mind, if you're running a class like ARCA or something like that where you have fast repairs and you've turned your fast repairs on but you haven't used it yet because you haven't been wrecked out, that pit clear command will clear out your fast repair. So be aware of that. That's something you want to keep in mind, because if you have it set to, if you turn it on right at the start of the race, like I do a lot of times, just in case there's a wreck right at the start of the race and I want to get my fast repair so I don't lose too much time, and something happens where I go to clear the pit, when you say pit clear, it's going to wipe that out. And that's not what you want it to do. Now this thing's actually pretty forgiving. It doesn't necessarily, it usually has like a delay right before it puts out the command, just to make sure that you gave it a command and aren't just sitting there talking normally like we're doing now. Because notice I said pit clear and nothing come up, because it's not detecting me giving command. Now if you pause a second, pit clear, pit clear, there it goes. So if you're talking and saying other things, like if you're a streamer and you're streaming and you're talking to your chat and you need to do a command, be quiet for a split, or be quiet for about a second before you do your command. That gives voice macro the chance to reset and be ready to accept the command, because you can't be talking, just say pit clear and have it work, because it's going to ignore it, because it doesn't think you're giving a command. It thinks you're just background conversation. Pit clear. So you want to have at least a second or two of silence where you're not saying anything at all before you give a command. That's how it seems to work best. And then when you're racing and driving around the track, you may have to adjust your computer speaker volume a little bit so that you're not drowning yourself out, so that the computer can still hear you when you're giving a command. And you might have to monkey around with an experiment a little bit to find out what your speaker volume for your engine noises and stuff, as well as your background ambient noises. Sometimes when I'm out testing and building setups, I'll have my internet browser open and I'll be listening to internet radio. I got an oldie station I like to listen to because I'm an old guy, so I listen to oldies, and I'll have that playing in the background while I'm building a setup or something. And I want to make sure I don't have that too loud to where my voice macro is going to get interfered and not be able to hear me. Another thing too is if you've got stuff going on in the background, like you're watching a YouTube video or something like that, and one of your keywords for your voice macro gets triggered during the playback of that video, depending on how loudly the video is playing and how well your voice macro is picking it up, it may actually trigger that command if it hears it come through, because it's going to go off of the word it hears regardless whether it's coming out of your mouth or coming off the YouTube video. Because I've actually had that happen before, and I was like, I didn't say that. So what the hell is it doing it for? And then I realized I was playing a YouTube video, going back and rewatching one of my races or watching a video of my race before I upload it to YouTube to make sure it's turning out okay. And it'll hear and I'll be giving a voice command for a pit call or something, and voice macro will pick that up as it's playing. Show relative, show lap timing. So that's basically kind of a crash course about how to get this program up and running. It works generally very well for the most part. It works very well considering how primitive voice recognition still is, and it may require you to repeat yourself a couple times. And if you go to do a call and it doesn't work even after repeating yourself, take your mouse while you're driving or whatever and click on the actual background of where your windshield will be with your mouse, just to make sure that Iracing has focus. Because if Iracing does not have focus, voice macro is not going to send any commands to it. So it's going to send it to the program only if it's got focus. So make sure that Iracing has focus by just clicking your mouse on it. That's all. That's simply all you'll need to do in most cases. But that should basically cover it for us. I'm going to go ahead and jump out of the truck here and then finish this video up so that we can get this uploaded to you guys so you can get this installed and running. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of me or leave a question in the comments, and I'll do my best to try to answer the best I can and help you guys out and get this up and running. And one other thing to note, someone was mentioning something about using this to do like different in-car functions like brake bias and stuff like that. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend using like a toggle switch, a momentary directional toggle switch, or a rotary for that, because that's going to, number one, be more realistic for brake bias. And number two, if you got to make a quick change to brake bias, this voice command stuff is still kind of flaky yet, and if it don't understand you right away and you need that command to happen right now, it may not do it in time, because there is that slight delay there, especially if you're talking in the background, where there's background conversation going on, like somebody walks in the room and they're talking to you if you don't live alone. Now I live alone, so I don't really got to worry about that too much. But I've had the TV on in another room and had it turned up a little bit too loud, and voice macro has picked up people talking on the television, and it would catch one of its key phrases and would execute that command just from something on a television show triggering it from the other room. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But that basically should cover us for this. If you have any questions, again, leave them down in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe to this video, and we will see you guys all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.